All right, so Devon Williams, thanks. I work solutions with our company for our education clients across the nation. We have the pleasure of working with various different institutions on a lot of different solutions. And
Reginald Adams, I'm the Vice President for Operations. I oversee our business line for IFM services for colleges, universities, and K-12.
so today we're going to talk about the 7 levels of maintenance that can take you to operation excellence. And there's a couple of things we'll do today. We'll talk a little bit about traditional methods, and then we'll also go into the future state of maintenance and how that can help you with your deferred maintenance as well as your ever shrinking budgets. You know, we have a lot of different organizations within the universities looking for those monies. So we'll help you with some of those strategies and some of those maintenance. But before we get there, we do want to level set by just talking about some of these industry terms that will help us through this conversation. So the first one you see there is the run to failure from a maintenance perspective. This strategy is typically your most costly strategy. This is where obviously you run your equipment. As soon as the equipment breaks, you fix it, and you really kind of chasing your tails. I know we've all been there. There are some assets that may need that, and there's others that obviously is more costly and can have catastrophic failures. Next from that, you get a little bit of improved maintenance. Improved maintenance, this is where you identify certain aspects on your campus, aspects in your facilities, and you know you need to take care of it, so you have a plan around that, but it's just really around those assets. And then we have the preventative maintenance, which a lot of us know about. That's where scheduled maintenance across all your assets. Those frequencies are basically dictated by some sort of industry standard, and you continue to service them based on those frequencies. Moving more towards the future, you have your condition base, where you look at how your particular equipment is operating in their conditions, whether it's in the desert, whether it's in the mountains, whether it's in the city, and you base your maintenance strategy on that. We also have your reliability center maintenance, which goes around criticality. Do you have a data center? Do you have a research laboratories? Do you have animal research happening? You have different strategies around that. Then we get down to our corrective maintenance, which is kind of goes with most of those maintenance strategies. That corrective maintenance, obviously, when something breaks, you repair it. You base that off your preventative or your reliability center maintenance. And then we finally get kind of to the predictive maintenance. And this is where a lot of us want to be, where we're making changes to our equipment. We're maintaining our equipment in such a way that we're not surprised by failures. So how does that get to the 7 levels of maintenance once you understand those strategies? So based on these maintenance, and we see this across the board of a lot of our clients, we have a lot of people at the bottom tier here, the innocence phase. And this is where they really don't know what to do. Maybe there's a law, they know they got to do their fire systems. Maybe they know they have to do their fire extinguishers or generators, and they kind of sit there. And you really find our run to fail maintenance at that level. And then you get the awareness. Once you learn the laws, you know what you got to do. You may put a plan together. You may have some things together. But again, that's kind of that bottom tier level. Now, understanding, this is where you get into your preventative maintenance. And I think a lot of our universities and colleges are here. They know they need to do something. They have a preventative maintenance plan. They have these schedules, and they have things happening. Are the frequencies right? Maybe they know, maybe they are, maybe they're not. But they know they need to take care of their equipment, because if they don't, the students will suffer, the faculty will suffer. We do have a lot of clients kind of in that preventative maintenance, and then they normally work with teams like ourselves, or they start coming to conferences like this to kind of get to that competency level. And that competency level is, now that you have your preventative maintenance, now that you know what you need to do, how can you really make it more effective? Do you need to change filters every quarter? Do you need to look at your fan coils once a year? You kind of start figuring that out. And that's where the consultancy comes in sometimes, and that's where sometimes the outsourcing comes in and really bring to that competency level. That excellence level is the next one that we see, and that excellency level really comes into with a well-rounded facilities team, where you are looking at the condition, you're looking at the circumstances, you're doing some predictive maintenance, you're doing a little bit of vibration analysis, things at that level. A lot of people want to get to that excellence level. They may in certain areas, they may in certain buildings have that excellence level, but that's where we're all kind of shooting to get there. And then when we get to the mastery level, then we're really spending good time, good money, trying to make sure that we increase the useful life of our equipment. We're doing a lot of different things. Maybe we have a CMMS system at that point. We're putting out regular schedules. And then we get to the top level, which is dynamic. And we're going to talk a little bit about that dynamic later. But that's really where your buildings start working for you, your maintenance program starts to work for you, and you really are working with those investments. And these are important to understand because because deferred maintenance, as we know, a lot of times it's hard to get money for that. And operating in these various levels of maintenance can help to, it doesn't solve the problem of deferred maintenance, but what it will do is allow you to utilize your equipment better, utilize your buildings better, address aging facilities, and so on and so forth. So our next slide here talks a little bit about how do you get there? How do you get to that mastery or that dynamic level? So the first thing, which is very important, is asset collection, data collection. Do you know what you have in your facility? Have you taken an inventory? We may do an FCA, but sometimes the FCAs are done at a system level. They're not done at an individual asset level. So we don't know what we have. We don't know how to take care of it. And because we don't know what we have a lot of run to failure happening because of that. So the collection of that data is very, very critical, is very, very important. Then that next phase there is categorizing it, categorizing your systems together, making a criticality matrix. These are the things that need to happen once you know what you have on site. And by the way, this is something that it takes continuous improvement. You have to constantly look at your equipment, constantly understand what's happening. You got a new building come in from a donor, always adding that in and putting it into your plan. The next piece of that is, do you have a CMMS system and a good CMMS system? Something that understands when your PMs come out. Just be able to connect your, or PMs are preventative maintenance, but understand how you can connect your corrective maintenance to your assets and look at that criticality and really drive the value, but also get good data. Oftentimes we do have a CMMS system, but it really is not robust for what we need to have and what we need to do, but that is very critical. Moving forward to that, you have your understanding and making sure that you get the buy-in from your team. Why do we need to record data? Why do we need to understand the assets? Why do we need to know how they interact with our other systems? And why do they need to be connected on some sort of smart system as well? Moving forward, you're making that SAMP, we call that Strategic Asset Management Plan. This is something that needs to be looked at annually, needs to be looked at as much as possible. Why is that? Because you have preventative maintenance come out when students are there. You have the summer months, which you have summer turns. Maybe you have a heavy load on your preventative maintenance in the summer when most of your staff is work getting students in and out or so on and so forth. So having that nice balanced plan so that you can maintain your equipment and it's not an afterthought is also very important. And then we have, through all of this, is that continuous improvement, investment, tying your systems together. And what we do here at JLL is that last one we call that preventative PM Plus program, but that's really that customized maintenance program that is specific for your facility. Making sure that your goals are tied to your maintenance strategy, making sure that your deferred maintenance is tied to your maintenance strategy, and also making sure that your portfolio goals are tied to your maintenance strategy. Do you want to spend a lot of dollars maintaining a facility that you may tear down in a year? Or do you need to look at it in a certain way? So these here are, like I said, your traditional ways of operating maintenance, looking at maintenance, and building a really great program. But what we have now is the future, right? Because a lot of us know this, some of us are at various stages, but where's the future going and how can we develop a program for the future? And Reginald will kind of talk through that.
Yeah, thank you, Devon. As you can see here, we have factors that are driving demand. This is what the market is telling us. And the two that I really want to focus on, you got 67% and 70%. These are CFOs that are telling us optimizing investments, digital acceleration. It's coming. Data is driving a lot of the decisions that are being made. And if we're not being proactive, which will lead to us being adaptive, then we're going to be left behind. And the next slide will kind of go into some of this a little bit more. So when you start talking about how we summarize data, taking the data, putting it together, what are the measures, what are the outcomes that are going to come from that data? A lot of times we have data, we have files, and things are stored on shelves, and there's nothing that comes of it. It's never really put to use. And as an industry, we found that some colleges and universities are a little bit slow to change. And what does that mean? We understand that, there's a lot of cost pressure, as things are changing, the money and the resources are just not there. They're not available for you. So you got to figure out other ways and how you can be nimble, you can be quick, you can be agile, and the data is something that can help us do that. Uh, Everything taking place within the market is telling us right now that there's a digital disruption that's taking place. If you're not getting your data up to date, you're gonna be left out. And we're gonna show a roadmap, not yet, a roadmap of what some of that looks like. And then we're gonna kind of go into a demo of what we're doing at JLL that will show you some integrated stuff that, like I said, is helping us not be, you hear a lot about being proactive and reactive. Like I said, what we want to do is just make sure that we're being predictive. And that's what the data, the information can spit out to you. And you'll see that as we move forward.
So just what Reginald talked about, the traditional methods that I talked about earlier, we know that and we understand that. But now we're getting into workflow automation where our equipment can actually talk with us, move with us, work with us. And how do you do that? You do that through smart buildings. There's a lot of smart building technology that is allowing equipment to basically report on itself, put its own ticket together. Preventative maintenance ticket or corrective maintenance ticket. That digitalization piece, are you utilizing sensors? Do you know when you have a steam leak? Do you know when you have a water leak? And then move into that more dynamic piece. And so what we're doing here at JLL, like you said, is we are actually enabling our techs to give a one window view of all the data that we're getting from our systems, that we're getting from your systems, and be able to make smart decisions. So the first part we talked about it with this JLL Serve app, and there may be others like this, but is asset collection. Having a technician be able to go out into a mechanical room, see a piece of equipment, doesn't know this piece of equipment, it's not in the system, be able to use the app to instantly look at an OCR nameplate, put it directly into the system, and start generating those preventative maintenance tasks and corrective maintenance tasks while you're there. Meanwhile, we're able to get other data from your energy system, plug that in, understand what technicians were there before and what work they did before. Also, even being able to create a wayfinding application that says, hey, this piece of equipment needs service right now. Here's how you get there. If you had to bring a tech in from somewhere else, then you're able to get to that piece of equipment very quickly. And so what we'll do now is kind of open up this demo and show you what it looks like and how we're utilizing and kind of moving towards the future.
Buildings are complex spaces where we live, work, and interact. However, manual asset processes are characterized by error-prone performances. Siloed systems often result in fragmented data and communication breakdowns. And delays have an impact on operational efficiency and financial performance. Introducing Serve, a single pane of glass centralizing and digitizing the facility management landscape. Serve utilizes OCR and AI technology to automatically capture all asset attributes and information with a simple click on mobile device. This results in a 90% reduction in onboarding time and the ability to onboard assets in an average of 3 minutes. Serve's real-time monitoring capabilities provide valuable insights into asset performance. Indoor navigation feature guides technicians directly to the assets, reducing search time. Access digital checklists with a simple scan and record inspections in real time, with automated incident tracking and reporting to ensure compliance. The platform leads to a 30% reduction in effort and a 25% increase in inspection efficiency by identifying and permanently addressing common issues. Serve integrates with Corrigo, providing a seamless transfer of all asset data. The feature offers customizable rules and conditions to automatically or manually trigger work orders in response to detected anomalies. Serve acts as a unified hub, connecting multiple CMMS systems into a single interface. The inventory management module provides a comprehensive overview of your consumable stock, including stock in, stock out tracking, consumption analysis, and expiration management. Serve easily integrates with all IoT or IAQ systems such as Aware, collectively providing a single pane of glass view of the building's air quality conditions. The integration enables the configuration of work order triggers for critical parameters attributed to occupants' comfort.
So what does all this mean? Being dynamic, really connecting your systems, collecting data, and enough data that you can make smart choices with. Well, basically, this slide kind of talks about it. So you saw today's methods. That's that traditional method, and a lot of us still need to get to that excellence and kind of mastery. So we are there. Some of us are there. But if we learn how to maintain better, we learn how to get more tech enabled, we learn how to kind of renew and change our people and process, then we kind of get to the future. And what is that going to do? It's going to reduce your total cost, portfolio cost, increase your uptime, productivity, as well as your sustainability. And I think that's where we're going for the future is that, just as Reginald said, digital disruption is real, digital disruption is here, and are you thinking about how you are digitizing your information and digitizing your buildings so that you can have a more effective and excellent operations plan? So, questions, any questions, comments, thoughts? Anyone want to share where they think they're at in their maintenance strategy, maintenance approach?
Thank you, gentlemen. I really appreciate your time. It's really interesting to see how you've mapped out the whole process for us. I'm relatively new to my institution, being there about a year. We were decimated by COVID and early retirements and had a significant loss of what I'll call institutional knowledge and awareness over the last 4 or 5 years. And one of the things that I'm being challenged by right now is that fractured data. It's just everywhere or missing, and feel like I'm having to reboot from the ground up. So can you give us any insight as to how we start that process and where the next logical step needs to be?
Yeah, so the main way to start that is typically starting out with a facility condition assessment. And that typically tells you the criticality of your systems and your buildings and your assets overall. But the thing that actually takes a good amount of time and a good amount of effort, and sometimes a lot of money, is having a building inventory, asset inventory conducted. And unfortunately, there's really no way around that other than getting to each piece of equipment and understanding what they are. Now, if you have an in-house staff, there's ways you can do it. You can look at one preventative maintenance cycle, and as you go through your mechanical rooms, touch every piece of equipment, understand what can happen, or explain what can happen as far as the employees, and say, hey, listen, we really need you to collect this data. If you're using an outsource model, a company such as ourselves will come in. We have additional staff that could do that. And there may be other opportunities to do it through work study, just really allowing some of the engineering students to come in and help with that. But there's really no way around doing an actual collection of data, and try to use something like what we showed here with OCR, so you can get in there quickly, scan data plates, get information, and in the future, there's going to be some AI attachments that will be able to look over the net and give you a lot of equipment information on your assets. You're welcome. Well, thank you. If there's no other questions, thank you for your time. And hey, we'll be around. So if you would like to talk a little bit more about this, if you geek out on these type of things, we're available to do that.